Hey guys, welcome back to the Bond Report. My name is Chris, aka the Bearded Blofeld. Today I am joined by two of the amazing contestants from the new show, you may have guessed it, 007 Road to a Million. That's right, this series is continuing on, and I'm so happy to welcome Jen and Beth. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful to have you here. So, what an adventure this has been, right?
Incredible. Yeah, it's been mind blowing. And I think now that it's out and we can talk about it, it was just so much more incredible than you sort of remember. You seem to have slightly forgotten how cool it was when we were doing it. And now you see it again in color and you're like, wow.
Well, you see it from the audience's perspective. So you have your
Yes.
own perspective on something like this going into it and living it, and then you get a chance to step back and see it from, my perspective, everyone else's, and go, "Oh, that's how they're perceiving it. That's so cool how that looks."
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's so much that hasn't been shown, though, so much that hasn't made the cut just because of the length of filming that we did. So actually, the adventures we had were a lot longer, a lot more tiring, a lot more stressful than even it appears on the camera.
Oh,
So if
wow.
you think it might look difficult from what you see, what actually happened was a lot harder.
Whew. Well, and I know they cut out. There were several contestants, and I understand, for time and everything, certain contestants, if they didn't make it that far, they didn't want to focus on them and make it something to where it was like, well, we're gonna drag this out. They had to cut for time and everything. So I get that. But yeah, I can only imagine. I've seen some of those adventures and talking about the distance traveled. I, I'm sitting here going, man, they really trimmed the fat on that one, didn't they?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our Scotland visit, we walked up a mountain for 6 hours in the wind and rain. We were completely soaked, nearly hypothermic, it felt like. I think Beth's hands had gone numb or a foot, and I'd lost feeling in something. And then we also had to walk for 2 hours about across the top of the mountain and then get into a bog. And that was cut down very quickly.
Yeah.
Well, and
Kudos to the camera crew, though, for looking after us because we don't
Yeah.
look dreadful.
like, no, we got your best angles. We promise. We got your back. And now, so tell me a little bit about yourselves, because I think everybody knows, if you've watched the show at home, you probably have an idea and an understanding that these two ladies both are in the medical field. They talk about that a little bit in the show, and you both bring up some pretty interesting facts here. And I thought that both of you were working in clinics during some major crisis times. Beth, if you don't mind kind of kicking us off here, I believe you were involved with the Manchester bombings. Is that correct? You were there trying to help out?
So I wasn't actually in Manchester itself. It was basically after the initial explosion, as you can imagine, it was about casualty management. And so it was who needed emergency immediate care and who needed secondary care. And they sort of turned them up and then moved people away. As you can appreciate, such a popular concert like that, there were lots and lots of people from all over the country. So we were the sort of major trauma centre that were the on take for the secondary trauma team that would send down those casualties and advise them to come and see us. And so we had them come through our doors and then manage them.
My experience, the stress factor, and you even say this, Beth, that you have a very unique ability to appear very calm, cool, and collective on the outside, even though you may be freaking out and having a huge adrenaline rush on the inside. And I think that's very telling of your character. But Jen, I mean, you're no slouch either. Obviously, you were deployed in Afghanistan. You've had many adventures yourself, and you were part of. Well, let me see. I've got the yeah. You were there during when the suicide bomber went into like a Kabul clinic. Was that correct?
Yes, that was when I was in Kabul in the embassy compound. I heard a big explosion, and then heard afterwards that the bomber had gone and blown himself up. I think it was in a hospital or a school. I can't remember now. And lots of people had died at that point when I'd heard that explosion, and it just gives you chills to think about it. Really, how close you are to it.
But you both have fought through this adversity. You've pushed through. You've put yourselves in challenging situations, and you continue to do that. Obviously, with the show here, because this was not for the faint of heart. I mean, you just told us 6 hours up a mountain, rain, snow, freezing, everything. But we've got some questions I want to get into here. And, speaking of kind of those challenging moments for you both, I got to tell you, there's an episode And this really blew my mind. And this could be one of those moments where you guys both said, maybe they cut out some things here. But you guys you have to go underwater and scuba dive in a shipwreck environment. And do either one of you have scuba diving experience? Because you both looked cool as a cucumber during this.
So I actually had scuba dived previously, but not for 18 years. So for me, it was a
Wow.
refresher, should we say? But it was a fast refresher, and I kept on having that slight panic, and that was exactly what we were saying about that demeanor of being calm on the surface, where I was super nervous, thinking, "Oh, how does it work? How does this thing work? How do I deflate, inflate, whatever I need to do?" But yeah, once you kind of got back into it again, I thought, okay, I feel I'm okay now. And initially, when we started the dive, we had a bit of space around us before we had to go to depth into the wreck dive. So
Okay.
you were able to get comfortable before you got down.
For me, it was really difficult. I had a little bit of scuba diving experience. I've dived on the Barrier Reef in my early 20s, just on a taster day, and also done a very brief bit of diving around a shallow reef on Christmas Island about 10 or so years ago. And that was it. So to have to go to that depth, even after a bit of refresher with the equipment, was really difficult.
Yeah.
And my main problem, well, there was a couple of problems actually. Firstly, I'm claustrophobic, and that turned out to be quite a problem going to depth. But also, there's a bit that, in a way, is kind of disappointing, wasn't shown. So my mask kept leaking, kept filling up with water. So I was trying to clear the mask and then equalize, then go down further, and then it kept filling up. And at one point, my breathing started going fast and I couldn't control my breathing. It started turning into a panic attack. So I had to go back to the surface, regroup, be calmed down by someone, because, of course, we had safety divers and people around us, and
Right.
then managed to go down again and get right to the sea floor, all the time having to keep clearing my mask, equalize, clearing the mask. So having to overcome that sort of panic and then go down and carry on doing what we had to do was really difficult. And someone pointed out to me it would have actually been better if that sort of thing was shown, because then
Yeah.
it showed just how brave you have to be to do these challenges, rather than portraying us as just doing it. It might be a bit more interesting to people to see how difficult it could be, but we still managed to do it. And equally for Beth as well. Beth doesn't like heights, and she managed to conquer her fears on more than one occasion, and
Yeah.
even though it was difficult for her. So, and that, I don't think that's really shown either, is it, Beth?
No, that I think there's a little glimpse of the height issue.
So I think
No, I agree.
more could be shown on people having to do something they're really scared of and managing to overcome it as well.
Yeah. That's something with the show where I kept watching the different challenges and sitting here telling myself, like, these are everyday people. And now, mind you, I know that you, Jen, have military experience. So for me, as the audience member not knowing you, sitting there going, okay, she knows how to scuba dive. She probably did that for the military. It was believable. But it was so sold that you guys knew exactly what you were doing. You'd been doing this forever. Like, it was like, oh, we're going scuba diving on a shipwreck. Okay, that's what's happening today. And so I agree with you, because diving a little bit deeper to get to know you as the contestants, as just human beings, as characters yourself, and learning more about you, I think that's going to add to the show. And I really hope to see that they do that in season 2. There was a lot of people ranting right now about how this show is basically The Amazing Race with 007 skinned over top of it. What is your take on that? And Jen, I'm going to start with you on this one. What did you think about comments like that? And do you think this is, I don't know, appropriate?
Unfortunately, I haven't watched The Amazing Race, so I'm not sure what it is to be able to compare. But I think there's always going to be people with an opinion and something to say, and maybe some people might not like the show, but I think it's meant to be entertaining. It's an adventure show. It's easy watching. It's fun, and a lot of people have really, really enjoyed watching it. So I think maybe people just shouldn't take that so seriously and not take it to heart.
Right. Yeah. Beth, what do you think?
Yeah, the same again, not everyone is going to love all of the same things. And so I think it's sort of horses for courses. So the feedback I've received from sort of friends, work colleagues and things is that, oh, it was great and we were watching it for you. But yeah, some of them really are huge Bond fans and could spot things that other people didn't. And other people are like, oh yeah, there's a bit of Bond.
Right. And I think that was the genius behind it, because this is something that, and I've said this defending the show over the past week, basically, this show was not designed for the diehard James Bond fans. This show was designed for people who love reality shows, who love to see people put in rough and tough situations. And they have sprinkled some Bond into it so that people who are maybe not as big of fans as the franchise can go, okay, this is digestible. I'm not overwhelmed with all these tropes. I don't have to have watched all 25 movies to understand these references that they're throwing in. It's like, there are some in there for the diehards, but that's not the main focus.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Ladies, this has definitely been, and I know we keep kind of coming back to this, but this show has been a challenge, not just for you, but for everyone involved. I know I was thinking about some of the shots even for the cast and crew and the cameramen, and I'm going, if the girls have all their hands free and they're struggling to do X, Y, and Z, what does the cameraman look like right now? He's got to be just really struggling. So was there a moment when you thought that you may not be able to go on? Like, you really questioned if you had the strength to move forward? And if so, what was the motivation that you were finding in each other to kind of pull you through?
I can obviously, speaking for myself, there were hard challenges, but I don't know. I had a really unerring belief that Jen and I could do it, and I felt that we made a good team. And after our first journey, absolutely felt like the right thing to do, the right team, and I think we're just so used to working in an environment where you automatically rely on the people you're working alongside. In emergency medicine, you can't work with someone you don't think is capable, and so it's just something that I think I just had this unerring belief we would be fine, everything would be great, and I kind of also had a little bit of, I'm sure they don't want us to die, so we'll be all right.
Jen, what about you? Was there a moment in the show where you really started to question?
I think mine was probably the rope climb, when I had to go out on the rope between the buildings, get the briefcase, and then get back up onto the building. Because of the way the rope was suspended between the two buildings, actually it went downhill as you came off the building and went down to get the briefcase. So it took a lot of strength and balance to get down there, but that was okay. And then I fell off, but managed to clip the case to my belt and then start climbing back up. But it was so difficult. It took, because the case was heavy, and it just took all my strength to be going back up that rope, uphill. Even with Beth pulling, I nearly felt like I wasn't going to be able to do it. You get to that point where you're thinking, I just don't think I've got any strength in my arms and shoulders left to be able to pull. And I'd been training really hard at the gym. I'd been doing pull-ups in a weight vest, not knowing what I was training for, but thankfully I had been doing that because that had increased my upper body strength. But even so, it was still nearly so difficult that I felt like I don't think I'm going to be able to do it.
I didn't realize it was on a decline like that, and I can only imagine, like, just looking off the edge, going, I'm going down, not across, but down. Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I think, in fairness to Jen, she did an absolutely impressive job of doing it as well, because, yes, I had to pull back, but I was only 3 weeks post-emergency surgery. So I was struggling with that abdominal operation management, trying to pull her back in, thinking, I can't go too crazy, or I'm going to be popped with stitches. So, she needed to have the strength to be able to do it. So the two of us together were like, we can do it. We can do
it. So wait, you're 3 weeks post-op, and you're sitting here heaving and engaging that cord to try and pull your friend uphill on a rope.
What happened?
Oh my Lord.
It was hard work.
It was very hard. Yeah.
I can imagine. I'm sure at the end, did you have stitches in at that point?
I did, yes. Yeah. It was fine. I mean, it was fine. I couldn't do the rope, obviously, but the stitches were fine to pull.
Okay. No bleeding though, right? Like, you weren't like struggling, like you didn't have it. Are you allowed to tell?
No, I was fine. I luckily, because I'm medical, I am able to manage myself. So yeah, no, it was all good. Thank you.
So really, then it sounds like you guys had an incredible trust in each other to be able to go on this adventure, go through these hard times, and just kind of look for strength in each other.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so happy that you guys had this opportunity to do this, because I know there's a lot of people out there who keep wanting to throw shade, and I'm just like, guys at home, calm down. If this was your opportunity and you had a friend, you would have done the same thing. You would have had a blast.
I mean, it's literally anyone could do it. And that's the beauty of the show, is that
Right.
whilst it is hard and it is challenging, you know, we were all different abilities now that I've seen and met all of the other contestants, and everyone has their own challenges, but absolutely anyone could do it. And so I would always say, just try.
Absolutely. Now, one thing I did catch, and I'm going to sneak this little extra question in here. Did you guys know that it was 007 themed when you auditioned?
No.
No. See, because all of the things that we saw here in the United States, and I think that's where a lot of people at home are getting confused. All of the advertising for the show, the audition of the show in the United States, because we weren't allowed to audition, said 007, Road to a Million. So we all knew that this was a 007 themed show.
Yeah, no, we didn't know. Our application was a really vague picture of a world that Jen had WhatsApped to me, and it said, how far would you travel for life-changing money? You need general knowledge, physical fitness, and something else I can't remember now. But Jen sent it to me and was like, I can't imagine anyone else in the world I want to do this with. Let's do it. And I was like, yes, let's do it. So that's all we had. We literally had no other information other than that.
That's fantastic. Okay, well, and that clears that up then for everybody at home who's been wondering, you know, why aren't these like hardcore 007 fans and like James Bond fans? Like, who are these just regular people who are getting in here and doing this? And I'm like, who cares? It probably would have been way harder if it was a bunch of James Bond fans, because most of us aren't as physically fit.
It's for everyone, remember?
Exactly. Okay, moving on here. So, knowing now that obviously this is featuring James Bond, do either of you, and I'm going to start Jen with you, do you have a favorite James Bond actor?
So my favorite Bond is Daniel Craig, because I feel like the way he portrays Bond, now I've read all the books, is more reflective of the Bond in Ian Fleming's books. I find that he's a bit more human, and you see more different sides to his character. Whereas I do also love Sean Connery as one of the original Bonds. I just feel Daniel Craig is a bit more human.
I would agree with that. I think he really opened up the emotional side, how someone would process the things that James Bond has to do.
Yeah.
Beth, what about you? Who is your favorite Bond?
Well, it's difficult because I actually really still enjoy Roger Moore for all of his misogyny and his terrible jokes and his kind of little one-liners he squeezes in every now and again, and just his unashamed ability to be who he is. I kind of still find him quite entertaining.
He's fantastic. And honestly, I'm going to say this, and I know there's people who are going to be watching this, they're going to be like, Chris, calm down. But I actually did not like Roger Moore until this year. I have watched all of the films for years, but Rogers. I finally finished all of Rogers because I had an issue with his 70s slapstick kind of take. I tried to watch The Spy Who Loved Me, and I know I may alienate some people, so I'm sorry, guys, but the bell bottoms in The Spy Who Loved Me really turned me off from watching more of his films, and I was like, Bond doesn't wear bell bottoms.
What, now you're a fan, right?
I am. I am. I have seen the light, and I'm a huge fan. I like his later films more than his earlier films. I feel like his earlier films, the later films, he was just enjoying himself.
Yeah.
He really
He got into the role, into the character. Everyone knew where he was at. You know, you expected it, he was.
Yes, exactly. Okay, ladies, it's time. We're slipping into
the evening question.
Did you know that the Aston Martin DB5, with all the gadgets, when you open that garage door, that's James Bond's car?
Yeah, 100%. It's instantly recognizable. Yes, very much so.
And the reason I ask this is because, Jen, there's a shot, and I'm not trying to give spoilers away, but there is a shot where we actually see you reading the badge on the front of the car. And you actually say out loud, Aston Martin, as if you didn't know what it was. And so I didn't know if this was a camera ploy, if the producers asked you, hey, go up and read the badge. Or if that was a genuine moment where you were just like, Aston Martin.
Yeah, I just went up to read the badge. No one asked me to do it.
Okay.
We did recognize the car because it was the one Daniel Craig has been driving quite recently in the most recent film.
Yes. Yeah, it was very prevalent in No Time to Die.
Yeah. So we may have had a bit of a, I don't know, maybe we looked a little bit of a delayed reaction. I think possibly we were just exhausted by that point after a long day of filming. And you walk in and
I can imagine.
But yeah, we knew which car it was.
I mean, it was like a grand reveal as well, because it was pitch black and snowy outside. And then we hit the lights and went, oh, hello, as is now my catchphrase for work.
Oh, hello. That's your new catchphrase?
All my friends have been saying to me every time I go anywhere, they're like, oh, hello. And I'm like, great, good. I'm glad that's made a thing.
Now we're going to have to get shirts made. 007 Road to a Million on the back. Hi, my name's Beth. Oh, hello.
Amazing. I've always needed a catchphrase. I'll set it up.
Perfect. Oh, ladies. Well, this has been so much fun. I really want to thank you guys for coming on here, taking the time out of your day to join us, and give something back to the fans who are slowly but surely coming around to this show. And I know this is expanding the universe. The fan base is increasing with every week that this show comes out. Happy to hear it just got announced that this show is #1 in UK on Amazon Prime. Now that's got to make you feel great.
That's very special. That's really nice, actually. That's really nice.
Very happy to have you again. If you ever want to come back on the show, please don't hesitate to get a hold of me. I would love to speak with you again. Everybody at home, thank you for all your support. And as always, Merry Christmas, 007. Outstanding. Sorry, I did not mean to trigger that.
I might spoil that, though. What was that?
So, again, we'll cut this. When you're on Zoom, if you do a single thumbs up, you'll get that.
Oh.
If you do 2 thumbs up, you get that.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, there it is. And then if you do Rockstar, you get the laser show.
Wow.
Oh, hang
I have
on.
no idea. I'm learning. Every day's a school day, right?
Yep.
Oh,
Just
wow. Oh,
Isn't
we
that
did
cool?
that at my next Zoom meeting.
Right?